Hello everybody. In today's video, I'm going to give you a simplified version of how to manifest with the moon phases. So this is a really extensive topic, and if you've ever tried to learn this on your own, you'll probably realize that there's a lot of different perspectives, there's a lot of different methods, there's a lot of even different words for certain things, and so everybody's got their own, you know, basically their traditions of how they did it or how they learned it. So I'm just going to give you the basics of what is necessary to know. So it's a simplified version to get you started with your manifesting. So in this list here are the 8 moon phases. And the ones that are in blue are the 4 major moon phases. These are the ones that you're probably going to be familiar with if you are into things like Wicca or, manifesting with the moon. If you've done any research on this, you probably heard of these 4. And then the other ones, the ones that are in pinkish purple color, the smaller ones there, those are the ones that people don't usually think of as times where you would need to pay attention. But actually, all of these phases have different purposes, and you can do different things during each phase. It's just that most people only know about the 4 major ones. And even the 2 that are starred, the new moon and the full moon, those are even more narrowed down because most of the time people just think, is it a full moon or is it a no moon? They don't even think about all the others. So this is going to be a simplified version of what all of these are and why you should pay attention to them, especially if you are interested in manifesting. So the first one is the new moon, and then this is sometimes called the dark moon. It depends on the different groups, such as astronomers and pagans. They each have different ways of calling it, and basically they mean the same thing, though. They both mean that there's no illumination, so you can't see any light on the moon at all. And this is the phase that marks the beginning of the lunar cycle. So that's the one thing that they can agree on, is that it's the beginning. So I'm going to go over a little bit more in detail about what these mean. So if you hear it being referred to as the dark moon, that most of the time is when it's completely dark, and this is when it's best to rest, reset, to go within, to set intentions, to do a lot of self-care, and to just be in stillness and release anything that has, not served you. So this is a period of 1 to 3 days where it's completely dark. And then if you don't see the dark moon and you only see, where they mention the new moon, that's pretty much what they're saying for this. Is it's all of those, but it's also when you can first start to see the moon barely, like the very, very edge will be lit up. And so it's a very blurry line with where each one begins, and it's very difficult to explain because it kind of depends on where you get your information from. But basically, the new moon and the dark moon both signify new beginnings, fresh starts. And these are times when you want to dream about new ideas, you want to get inspiration, you want to start planning, you want to write down your goals and intentions. And then, as far as manifesting goes, it's very important that you generate the feelings and the emotions involved with those goals and intentions. So, you want to do any cleansing that you need to do from the last phase, which would be things like, writing down things that no longer serve you. And I'll go more into that when we get to the full moon section. And this is also a phase for hope, meaning that if you have been working for a goal and it hasn't really shown any signs of promise yet, there's always more hope, and this is the time to start having that hope because this signifies a new cycle. So it's kind of like a new day. Think of it as the new day of the month. It's this brings me also back to what I also wanted to mention. We are used to the calendars having names of each month, and then they start on the first. And to me, that just seems backwards. That isn't how we always have done it. They used to. I'm not quite sure when this started. I feel weird for not knowing this, but I should know this. But back before we had our regular calendars, they used to go by the moon to tell how many days have gone by. And each new moon would be the beginning of a new month. So it's kind of backwards the way we do things now. And I want to kind of bring some awareness to this. And this is why I've been really working with the moon phases lately, because we shouldn't really live according to a, a man-made system. We should go according to nature. And that also brings me to the point that I wanted to make about spring. Well, actually, there's so many ways I could go about this. As far as nature, every new beginning in nature begins with darkness. So sunset is actually when they used to start saying that it was the next day. There was no such thing as midnight begins the next day. The next day always started after the sun went down. And and that's why they say that the winter solstice is the new year of nature because it's the darkest time of nature. And then you're heading into winter, so that's the phase of letting the seeds grow within in the darkness. So that's always the beginning of another cycle of the year. So I think personally that we should go back to that and start our new years on the winter solstice. We should start our new months on the new moon, and we should start our new days on when the sunset happens. It just makes sense, as far as nature goes. So think of it that way. When you think of, the new moon, and the new moon is the beginning of a new month and also a new energetic cycle, which is what this video is about. So moving on to the next phase is the waxing crescent moon. So this is when it's getting bigger, it's building energy, and this is the time that you want to take action and take practical steps towards your goal. It's a good time to start focusing, moving forward, and not dwelling on the past. And then you want to have patience as well because it's a slow, steady climb to get to a goal resolution. So patience is a very important thing to have at this time, and so is courage, because it takes courage to have patience, and it takes courage to build yourself up to a goal and try to achieve it. So this is the period of growth, the waxing crescent moon phase. And then we get to the first quarter, and this is when the moon appears half full. So this is when energetically you might start noticing some challenges and you might be tested. This is a time to really commit, make sure that you're committed to your goal, and keep taking action, because this first half of the phases are based on action, and so this is when you need to put in the effort. The waxing gibbous. The gibbous means that it's almost full. It's like between half and full. So, and the waxing, of course, means getting bigger. So this is the phase where you want to have trust in the universe. That you want to have trust that this is going to work. And then you want to refine your goals and go through an assessment process to make sure that this is really what you want and that you're on track. So you want to keep up the focus, keep up the action, make any adjustments you need to make, keep up the momentum. And this is also a time where you start feeling a lot of emotions. This is building up to the new moon, and emotions are, just like the moon is in control of our tides on the planet, and they're also in control of the water inside our bodies as well. And this, women know this too. So it's the moon is associated with emotions. So if you are just can't hold your emotions back at this time, that is not only normal, but it's healthy and it's expected. So that's part of this phase. And then we get to the full moon where everything gets it comes to a head. So this is where you're going to have really intense feelings and emotions. You're going to feel a sense of power. This is a time to celebrate any of your tensions that have came to be. This is also a time where you want to surrender because this is the point in the phases where you're switching from the energy of doing to the energy of being. So you want to surrender to the universe that you've done your part. And this is also a time when you want to practice forgiveness for any to get rid of any negative energy, which will help you moving forward in the next phase. So at this time of the full moon, answers may come. They'll either come now or soon because this is a crucial point of this phase. And so you're going to want to release the energy that you feel right now. This is a good time to do rituals, ceremonies, spells, or just dance. Dancing the energy off is a great way to. And this is why a lot of witches circles will do this under the full moon. It's the best time of this phase of all these phases to release energy under the moon, under the light of the full moon. And then after the full moon, we get to the waning gibbous. So waning means getting smaller, and gibbous, of course, means it's between the half and the full point. And you might also hear this called disseminating. This is another word for this phase. So in this phase, what you want to do is open yourself up to receiving and kind of accept where you are and just kind of relax a little bit because the first phase was mostly about doing. So now we're entering the 4 phases of the end here where we're going to start turning inward. So take a little break and regroup, and that's what this phase is about. And then the next phase is the 3rd quarter, and this is more reflection, releasing, reevaluating where you are, and trusting in the universe that this is the right place to be. And I didn't put a comma in there, I see that. So adjusting is the second one. So you want to adjust your plans and make sure that everything is the way you want it, and you're, you're kind of refining what your goal is. But at the same time, you're still trusting and you're just sitting back. You're not quite taking action as much as you were in the first half. So then we get to the waning crescent, and this is where it's almost winding down, so we're still resting, we're releasing even more, we're listening. This is a great time to do a lot of meditation and reflection. And if you want to do any sort of spells or rituals to release things, this is the best time to do that. It's also another great time to practice surrender and to cultivate patience. And lastly, for this one, going inward and doing self-care. Those are 2 things that we're really leaning towards at this part of the phases. And then the last, it brings us back to the new moon again, and the cycle starts again. So as you can see, from the new moon to the full moon, its energy is building and the energy is growing. So this is when you want to focus on everything that's energetically moving forward. And then from the full moon to the next new moon, your energy is decreasing, and that's when you want to do more rest. In general, that's the way these are. Of course, there are a few days in between where it kind of fluctuates a little bit, but overall, this is what the main goal is, and the main energy is for these phases. So I really hope you enjoyed this video of manifesting with the moon phases. Um, I will probably be doing a lot more videos on this in the future because this is a subject that I love a lot, and I'm learning more and more about it every day. And I've actually got a manifesting with the moon journal coming out. I'm not sure when I'm going to release it. I'm not quite finished yet, so I'll leave a link to that in this once that is released. So thank you so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, give it a like, be sure to subscribe, and I'd love to see some comments down below if you have any other thoughts about the moon phases or or if you want to mention anything that you've done during any specific phase that has worked for you. I would love to see those comments. So thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video.